What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Muse podcast. We are on day 18 of 32 teams in 32 days. We have finished up the AFC. We just talked about the Washington professional football team, and now we are talking about the Dallas Cowboys. If you are not familiar with my previews, as we talk about additions and re-signings and departures and draft picks and strengths and weaknesses and question marks and so many other things. We try to just cover the team and give you a really good idea and breakdown before the season starts. And of course, guys, if as you're listening to this, make sure you drop a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Because I like to hear from you guys. Do you guys think I'm right? Do you guys think I'm wrong? And so on, so on, so on. On this very podcast last year, I predicted the Dallas Cowboys would go 10-6. And in actuality, as Miss Elliott would say, put that thing down, flip it and reverse it. They ended up going 6-10. So I was off, but there was pretty good cause for that. When your franchise quarterback, an elite talented quarterback has a absolutely gruesome injury like that, not only you're losing that piece, but also I think that does something to team morale. The defense was a dumpster fire last year. Don't get me wrong. But I think that by itself does a lot to a team. But let's jump to it as far as additions and re-signings. Speaking of that franchise quarterback, they signed him to a big contract. That is Dak Prescott, Carlos Watkins, Carlos Watkins, Terrell Basham, Kiana Neal, CJ Goodwin, Jordan Lewis, Ron Curse, and DeMonte Casey, who I like. DeMonte Casey is kind of that little bit of a ball hog. He's probably a guy you don't want to see, 90% of snaps. But I think he can make some plays that a lot of guys in this league can't play. Kiana Neal is a guy who's been a thumper, man. He's an old school safety. I've seen some people talking about him moving to like maybe a linebacker, kind of like what Mark Barron did later in his career. But he's a guy who's just had some pretty bad injury luck. But I like him. I like that flyer that the Dallas took there. And of course, Dak Prescott. You don't want to keep tagging this guy. You want to make him happy. You want to keep him motivated. So the fact they got that done is a big deal. When we jump to departures, they lose the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton, Blake Bell, Joe Looney, Cam Irving, Aldon Smith, Tyrone Crawford, Antoine Woods, Awuzie, and Xavier Woods. All in all, I think Aldon Smith's a pretty kind of a sizable loss. He had flashes. He kind of got a little run down toward the end of the season because he's a guy that we haven't seen play a lot of football due to off the field issues. I liked Xavier Woods, Awuzie. I thought they were very solid guys. Crawford, but as far as that goes, I don't think they lost a ton. Not enough to be truly, truly worried about. When we jump to the 2021 NFL draft for the Dallas Cowboys, they kind of surprised me with their first round pick, but I love the value. Huge value pick right here. And in the first round, they get Micah Parsons, linebacker from Penn State. He is not a finished product, but he's a guy that I thought was the most talented defensive player in this year's draft. They get Kelvin Joseph. Sorry if I mispronounced this name. Osa Adighawusa. I don't know. Chancey Golson, Nashawn Wright, and Fabril Cox. So when I look at this, man, they attack the defensive side of the ball, which was smart, man. The offense is there. You got it. You know what I mean? The offensive line is taking a step back. Obviously, they went from best in the league to not best in the league. Maybe, a little above average, somewhere in that kind of neighborhood. But the defensive side of the ball, that's what's holding you back. And we saw that last year, even with kind of an underperforming offense, still like that defense, if it was just mediocre, they could have probably won this division. So they attack the defensive side of the ball. I like it, man. The Micah Parsons pick, and I'll talk about it more here in a second. I just love the pick, man, and I love what they did. I thought it was smart. They really attacked with modern day guys that can get after the quarterback, guys who can cover on the back end, some just true team speed. So I thought it was overall a really good draft, and it was perfect for what you actually need. when we talk about team strengths, you can talk about offensive skill positions all day. I mean, the top three receivers could start for any team. So they're absolutely stacked there. Zeke Elliott, Dak Prescott. I mean, they still have some big high end pieces on the offensive line, but I'm going to go with a different side. And it's exciting to kind of think about is their linebacking core is crazy fast, strong, and can all play at a very high level. So I mentioned Micah Parsons. We got Leighton Vander Esch, LVE, and Jalen Smith. I mean, wow, that is so fun because how often do we see that we bring in different linebackers to in case they have to move over on a slot or they have to cover the running back out of the backfield? When you have three guys who can just thump you on first and second down, stop the run, and then you have three guys that can absolutely fly all over the field and make plays on the ball. I mean, that puts your defense in such a different position because instead of trying to constantly bring out sub packages and to try to counter what the offense is doing, I mean, you guys already kind of have your base and your sub package on the field at the same time. So that's really exciting. It's really interesting. I'd be super excited if it sounded like they were going to, bring LVE back. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So this kind of sounds like the last year of this band in general. But I'm excited to see that. I'm almost more excited to see that linebacking core than I am the offense. As far as team weaknesses, I mentioned, man, the defense was a dumpster fire last year. There's kind of no two ways to put it about it. I'm hoping with the draft picks, some of the additions and re-signings, I hope they can make up for that. And there's not much to say because it's going to be, you just have to see it. It's kind of hard, with young guys to, hypothetically, oh, I think they'll do this, that, or the otherwise. So it's going to be interesting once the season starts to kind of see that first 2-3 weeks of the season, how they kind of start out. And then you look at the last 2-3 weeks of the season, see how the kind of the finished product for this year one was. As far as team weakness, that's the thing that's going to hold them back. Biggest question mark, and it's an obvious one, man. How's Dak going to look after this injury? And again, it's not just an injury like, oh, I blew out my knee, which is an awful injury, but the gross factor and the dislocation, it was tough, man. And that ankle looked really bad. We've seen injuries like that where guys have missed multiple years. So I'm hoping he comes back. I hear he looks good in training camp. I heard he's going to be starting the season, starting preseason games, which is great. I love to see it. But at the same time, if you've ever played sports and you've ever had even just small injuries, you can tell yourself, yeah, I trust my knee or I trust my ankle. But it's another thing when push comes to shove and making that cut or pushing off that leg or standing in the pocket for that extra half second. That's what I'm kind of curious about. And you won't know that when you're kind of playing air. You're only going to know that when you're playing like the Rams and Aaron Donald's coming down your throat, or you're playing that Washington professional football team and Chase Young and Montez Sweat coming off the edges with Jonathan Allen coming up the middle. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be curious to see. I'm rooting for the guy. He's a cool story, was a later round pick, blew up his rookie season and is, he's gotten better, but the team's gotten worse. So I'm hoping he kind of bounces back. As far as record prediction, I have a tough time with this team because every year I think I kind of overrate them, and I think the media overrates them a little bit. This offense is just so high powered, and the defense has pieces. I tried to be kind of in the middle here. So I was thinking, 9-8, 10-7, somewhere around that. And we know this is an ugly division. So like last year we saw 7-9 won the division. So 9-8 could win this division. And that's what I picked. I think it's going to be tough. I think they're going to have some growing pains again at the beginning of the season, like we saw even when Dak Prescott was healthy. But that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And again, I could be wrong. I could easily see them winning 11 games. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I could also see that defense being abysmal and them winning 6 games again. I'm not sure. So that's why I'm going 9-8. That's kind of where I see the middle road being. But this is going to be one of the more interesting teams to watch throughout the season. So for my bold prediction, I wasn't exactly sure. There's a lot of different things you could do on the offensive side of the ball. But I ended up saying that just not necessarily, points per game, but from a yards per game standpoint, the Dallas D will go from bottom 10 to a top 10 team and yards per game. Now, obviously, that doesn't always equate to winning games, or that doesn't always equate to not letting points on the board. Um, but I do think they make a jump, and the arrow is pointing up by the end of the season. Just hopefully, it's not too little, too late for that point. So, like I said, guys, that's my quick breakdown of what's happening in Dallas this coming year. But make sure you help support the show, guys. If you stuck around this long, you like the episode, please click like, please click subscribe. And like I said, drop a comment, man. Where do you think I might be underplaying this team? And if you're not a Dallas fan and you're watching this, what do you think I got wrong? What do you think? Maybe this offense is overrated. Dak Prescott's overrated. They paid him too much money. Drop it in the comments. Let me know, guys. And that's why we're all here. So, guys, I will see you next time. Hey guys, thank you so much for sticking around for the entire video. Thank you for supporting the show, clicking that like button, subscribing, comments, all that fun stuff. If you could just take one more second and check out Rep Sports, check out Raise Energy. They are partnered with this podcast. They are help supporting me. So if you go and check them out, it's the best tasting energy drink on the market. 100% guaranteed. They have supplements, protein, pre-workouts, recovery, all that stuff. If you guys check them out and you use promo code SportsMuse when checking out, you get 15% off of your order. And who doesn't like, some money off of their purchase? That's awesome. So definitely check them out. And like I said, it helps support me. It helps support them. So please check them out, guys. And thank you again so much for sticking around.